Okay, cool. Keep this going. Oh, we are going on there. Perfect. Give everybody a minute to pop in. We're running just a tiny bit behind, some little tech issues, no big deal. We squashed those in a second. Let's get this moving. There we go. Wow. Okay. We got it on up on your page and up on the business page for people who don't follow us. So good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome, Colin. I'm glad we finally made it together here. I don't know about you, my friend, but hi, Betty. Wow, it's been a doozer over here. We've had all kinds of intense happenings, lots of things changing. Hi, Sue. And I think that we're going to have a lot to talk about. Let's go back over what we were sharing about love last week. I'd love to just do a recap on that and continue to integrate and weave what is most needed right now from each of us, and how we can help support each other as well as the planet as we evolve into this new space at the end of this cycle. Can you hear me, Colin?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, good. Oh dear.
Yeah, there is a lot happening, and there's a lot going to be happening. So it's very fluid. But you know, if I run my own what are they called, sort of predictive modeling, if you can call it that, I can see almost what's going to happen. You know, the fallen ones, they are trying to create a separation between people.
Yeah.
And so they created this class of people called vaccinated and the other class unvaccinated. And what they're hoping for is that eventually the vaccinated will turn on the unvaccinated.
Yeah.
And begin to war with them, civil war. So yeah, this is going to get pretty tense and pretty crazy in some parts of the world, but I think for the most part, you know, the important thing is, as you say, people understand what is required of them in order to, in order to stabilize the hologram, if I can put it in that way.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way to express it. There's really no other way to express it because if we allow somebody to adjust our own holograms, then it's going to throw everything off. So this is our own realities, our own beliefs, our own structures, and understanding we're architects, which means we're builders. We build our holograms, we build our realities, and it's important to hold and stabilize the fabric of truth. And that is something that is very much at war right now. This is a war over truth. It's a war over sovereignty. And when they can create that divide, which they have done hundreds of thousands of years, it just happens that this one now is vaccinated against unvaccinated. And they're actually they're becoming pretty successful at it. And so it's so important to stabilize. It's so important. Hello, Gabriella. Hi, Ryan. Thanks everybody for being here. Okay.
And if we should be compassionate towards those who are against us, who oppose us, You know, Jesus said that when your enemy strikes you, you should turn the other cheek. And I don't think that he was talking about being masochistic. I think what he was talking about was you are greater than a slap in the face. You are far greater than that. You're going to get slapped in your face a couple of times in your lifetime. And as long as you keep reacting the way you do, you're going to get the same result every time.
Yeah.
And we, because of the greatness of our souls that we carry in our souls, we have the power to turn the other cheek. It's a powerful demonstration of one's, spirituality, and demonstration of one's courage and of one's dedication to what you believe in, rather than just reacting out of a situation where you've been drawn into the situation. And you can say afterwards, it was not of my making, but if you get drawn into the situation, you make it. So we're going to have to learn to, be smacked around. But on the other hand, there's lots of things we can do to protect ourselves as well, during this time. And also not just to protect ourselves, but to make a real difference on this planet. Because one thing that people don't really understand, and I've been talking about this for a long time, that Mother Earth is a sentient being. She's a great soul. The Native American Indians called her the Great Spirit. And they used to pray to Great Spirit. And the thing is, we should realize that Mother Earth has got a Merkaba field, there's got chakras, there's got ley lines or meridian lines around the planet. And it's all energy that we get from Mother Earth. And people are so ungrateful because if you think about it, Mother Earth provides us with everything. She provides us with air, with sunlight, with water, with good soil to grow crops in, beautiful plants all over the place, and beautiful species of different kinds of animals, insects, birds, fish. And we live on an amazing planet. And it's not by coincidence. Mother Earth is a very advanced sentient being, because she has gone through a long period of soul evolution to reach the state that she's in now, and she's alive. And sometimes when Mother Earth speaks, you better be careful, because when she speaks, there's going to be a lot of noise.
Yeah, there sure is. And there already has been. We're seeing some eruptions. We're seeing some possibilities of other kinds of storms and things like that coming in. We can see this is going to be happening. And remember, these are the emotions of humanity as well. We're very much tied into the planet, and
Yeah.
You can see it expressing.
Yeah, and Mother Earth, she feeds us energy all the time from her energy fields. We don't understand that, but she's giving us, because her first three chakras are directly related to the ley lines on the planet that feed energy around the planet. And we are the beneficiaries of that energy. So Mother Earth, in a large extent, plays a role in keeping us alive, in keeping us energized. And but having said that, she's very, very wise in that she's given us everything for our sustenance and for our provision and for our longevity. But she depends on us to do the work. And she depends on us to advance our own soul evolution so that we become more like Mother Earth. That's part of soul evolution. Mother Earth's next progression is into a star status. And from a star status, she would become a galaxy, and a galaxy state. But it takes billions of years for that to happen. And, when I say billions of years, it's really in a flash, an instant, actually. But it goes through a process, a linear process of so-called time. In the real scientific jargon, it would be frozen light. that we experience time slowing down.
Mhm.
But all over the universe, everything is almost instant. And, we get a hold of the power that there is in Mother Earth, and we align our own strength and power to that and recognize the power that she has, and she's given it to us as well. But we've just grown away so far from the earth and Mother Earth and nature that we can't recognize, the power that is invested in nature, and how that power, we can benefit off that power. We do to some extent, we say we should eat organic foods and that sort of thing, but we're not really eating organic foods.
Yeah.
They're called organic foods, but they're not grown in organic soil. They're not grown, to a large extent, organic is a non-plume for, a GMO production.
Yeah.
And, so I think in a sense, we have messed this planet up so badly that what we've done, we've messed ourselves up. And when we begin to heal Mother Earth, we will begin to heal ourselves as well. So we should live on a constant daily basis aware of the power of this great planet we live on.
Mhm.
It's because she's a sentient being and she has great power. You think about it, how she sustains 6.5 billion people. And people say that this planet is overpopulated. Well, that's simply not true. We don't have an overpopulation problem. We have an inability to distribute resources properly.
Mhm.
That's the real problem on this planet. And when we get to a stage where we realize our folly, and we're going through this process in order to do that, this process we're going through is going to help us realize our folly in blindly following the government leadership and blindly following the dictates of the mainstream media and the blind following of so-called science. And, they're all a bunch of rogues and all a bunch of crooks, really, liars, thieves, who steal and who plunder from other people. They are not really nice people. So if we follow people like that, we can only expect one result, and that will be disaster and chaos.
Mhm.
So we have to establish our own standards and values and not look to government or, secular leaders to lead us into the promised land. Each of us is responsible for ourselves. And once we accept that responsibility and start behaving in the way that we are responsible, then things will change. But too many people are out there with with their outstretched palms saying, please feed me. When, it's so simple, just go get some seeds and plant them in a piece of land somewhere and you'll have, vegetables.
Yep. It's perfect timing. As you're saying that, Alan puts in the feed, the world has enough for everyone's needs, but not everyone's greed. Gandhi. That's absolutely the truth. Absolutely the truth. I remember when I first started reconnecting with Mother, and I called her the woman in white, and it was white buffalo calf woman. So, Navajo spirit. And what I love about this not being an extraterrestrial being, this not being anything extraordinary, this was actually a human being who is a full representation of Mother, what she has to offer. And it's fascinating because in my journeys, uh, we would sit around a fire, and there are questions that I would ask, and the way we ask questions has been we're not asking the right questions because we're so far from self and so far from Earth's resources, and how all of how we fit into this beautiful language of life, this language of love, and understanding that our bodies also are mirrors of what the earth is. And how we treat our body is really how we're treating the earth. And if we think about universal consciousness, that's fire. Look at all the earthquakes happening right now. Look, I mean, the not earthquakes, but the volcanoes. They're busy. They're really busy. And when we get into creative world, the creative world is water. And this is moving around in our emotions. And going into the formative world, that's air. And then we move into the material world, and that's earth. And these elements are all beginning to recalibrate. They're coming back to their original organic properties. And so everything is finally changing because more people are able to see these crooks, these liars, these rogues, these beings that have completely taken over and just desecrated our land. And we're born into it. Obviously, there's past lives where there are times many of us participated in the destruction of the earth. Today, we still participate in the destruction. There's going to be a lot of work to do. This is, part of the law of cycles. There's just going to be a lot of work to do, and invoking and calling in the law of structure, understanding what that is, which you speak so much on. This is this is like your heart understanding. You've been spending so much time helping individuals understand the hologram, understand structures, what that means and how that connects into our emotions, our thoughts, our standards and values. And it really is that simple. Spiritual alchemy really is that simple. And once we reconnect, and we just have to ask the right questions, we just open up our hearts and say, how can I reconnect to the elements? How can I reconnect to the earth? Show me, show me, show me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And if we speak words to Mother Earth, okay, it's a kind of a prayer that the words are energy. They get carried in the ley lines of the planet. And those ley lines get fed into Mother Earth's auric field, her soul body, as it were. And so Mother Earth is able to hear our prayers, but she won't always answer directly. Mm-hmm. She comes with an indirect passage, an indirect answer. And, it's a question of just lovingly communicating with the earth and the plants around us. I do that every day. I walk to the garden and I talk to the trees and the plants and I ask them how they're doing. And, when I walk on the grass, I'm grateful and say how grateful I am that it provides such a soft, surface for me to walk on. And I see the trees, I see new flowers sprouting. I look at them and admire them and tell them they're beautiful and thank them for being there, and it develops within you an attitude of appreciation of all things and of all people and of all living life forms. Because to a large extent, we talked about it last week, about life and love are so interconnected that if you don't recognize the life that Mother Earth is giving you around you, you can't recognize her love. Mm-hmm. Every day we eat foods, and where do those foods come from? We think they come from farms, but where are farms situated? They're situated on the land, on the earth. So every day we're benefiting from the gifts that Mother Earth gives us. And, if we start having a more direct contact with her through our thoughts and emotions, we can invoke great power in Mother Earth, that she will support us. But it's not just Mother Earth who's supporting us. We've got a legion of angels around this planet waiting to assist. as many as there are people on the planet, there's at least one guardian angel out there looking up over your shoulder and looking after you. And, so people should be encouraged that the end of this show, this Truman Show we're in, is going to be really quite glorious.
Yeah, it
But
truly is.
yeah, when we realize how powerful we are, we realize who we are and what we are and what our connection to each other is and what our connection to Mother Earth is. Because everything in the universe is in relationship to everything else. We tend to see relationships as a one-on-one relationship you might have with a partner, but it goes far beyond that. Everything in the universe is in relationship to you. When you stop at a traffic light, you are in a relationship with that traffic light. That traffic light is telling you you must stop, so you stop. So little things like that, we just don't recognize the relationships we're in. And sometimes we get angry with a traffic light, which is, crazy, because it's not the traffic light's fault it turned red.
Right.
It's a mechanical thing. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Now, people have an unnatural way of relating to their world, and it's not natural to think that you're alone on this planet. It's not natural to think that the earth doesn't care for you, or that God doesn't care for you. That's totally unnatural. The natural state is to know that you are well cared for by the planet, much loved by God, and much loved by the universe. And, we just have to go back to first principles. And like you said, it's very, very simple. Just take responsibility for your thoughts and emotions.
Yeah.
And you can do that by building high standards and values, because your words and thoughts, your thoughts and emotions will come out of your values. So if you have high values, you have high frequency thoughts and emotions. If you have low values, you can have low frequency thoughts and emotions. So it's up to us to have high standards and value, maintain those, and then be courageous in our thoughts, be courageous in our emotions. I'm willing to stand in the gap. I'm willing to fight for this. I'm going to fight for my principles. But I won't put principles above people. So we have that fine balance that we have to walk between, upholding our principles and loving other people. But whatever happens, we have to hold our principles and our values and standards, because if we don't do that, we're just going to get run over by this machine that's operating at the moment to try to cause dissent and division amongst people.
It's pretty ugly. It is pretty ugly right now, but our hearts are beautiful. And like right now, in this moment right now, I can feel the love from people listening to us. I can feel the love from the trees all around me. Every time we do our chats, Colin, I have the beautiful crows that come and sit across the way and will listen to me talk and listen to you talk. And I activate the trees and everything around, and I can hear Mother singing. Like it brings tears to my eyes, thinking about the love that I choose to resonate with all around me. And when we resonate that, we share that with everything around us. We become connected to everything. And we realize in that moment how connected everyone and everything truly is. When the hummingbirds come, they'll come to my window to say, I don't have any more food. Put food in my feeder, please. It's more like they're really kind of really flitty, and it's more like, hello, 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 I'm hungry. That's more what it feels like. But there's communication happening if we can just settle ourselves, take deep breaths, and really begin to allow that heart-brain connection to happen. Allow the eighth and ninth chakras to open up, and then allow our pineal glands to make the connection point between the heart brain, and just allow ourselves to be organic, little tiny bits at a time, little tiny bits at a time. Practice choosing your own emotions. Let's say just one thing, look at something that you know is going to piss you off, a comment, somebody makes a comment, and take that comment and allow yourself to not be offended. Allow it to not hurt your feelings. Allow it to have nothing to do with you. Practice just with one little piece at a time. And I just want to say hi to Sharon and Nikki and John. Hi, you guys. Hello, Klaus. Thank you, everybody, for being here and commenting in the feed. My gosh. So I know that you're not actively doing grid work, and I'm going to say you're probably kind of lucky that you're not having to be out there, but we still do grid work, even though if we're not in the grids. Being responsible for our own emotions and values and standards and principles. This is grid work. But for those of you going into the grids, like really going in and going in here, you guys make sure you're shielding up. I don't know why this is popping up for me, but it's really just, I know there are a lot of grid workers that watch Colin and I talk. And so I just want to say, you know, to prepare, there are lots of new shielding devices and lots of new ways you can stay cloaked. So allow Mother, this is the piece I think we're looking for, is allow Mother to bring you into the core of the earth and allow yourself to be in the unmanifest, because you will be protected in the unmanifest with Mother as you're working and bringing things to manifest. And ask her, where can I serve? Where do you want me to go? How can I best be of service in this moment? Lyndon is saying, I cast all my low vibrational reactions to noise pollution into Celestine Fire daily. And that helps so much to not be affected. Celestine Fire is a white golden powder, fire powder. For anyone who doesn't know, it cleans up black goo, all kinds of AI stuff in the body, in the fields. It helps Mother Earth as well. You can also use Mother Earth's divine fire water, which we have access to now, which is an element that we had previously not had access to for a really long time. So both of those work very well. Thank you, Lyndon. All kinds of stuff, Colin. All kinds of stuff going on. It's just, it's literally incredible what we're witnessing and experiencing. We can be angry about it all the time, all day long if we want to, but that's not going to change anything. Being angry and pointing the blame and saying you're better than this person and this person's doing this wrong, you know, just take a pause, go inside. It's time to lay low, take responsibility for yourself, and be a steward for the ones that you're supposed to be a steward for, and stand up and fight on the hill that you're supposed to be fighting on. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, and people can benefit from groups as well if they feel so inclined, you know, to form a group like you've got on the Saturday night. You've got a couple of people. We need to do this more often, and just so that we can be together and share from the heart and give each other tips. You know, because in a sense we're in a war, you know, a psychological and spiritual war, where you know, the fallen ones have been doing this many times over the years, and they're doing it again. But we should recognize that, and there are ways you can win a war without being violent. It's called passive resistance. And Gandhi used this very effectively in India, where he convinced the people that passive resistance would be far stronger than violence. And so they did that. They just stood together, and they wouldn't be moved. They wouldn't be threatened by the British. And although many of them were shot at and lost their lives. In the end, the people won that battle because of passive resistance. And there's also, people can be active in sabotaging the big actors here who are doing this. Bill Gates must have a home. He must eat food. He must go places. Just target him and make it so uncomfortable for him that he decides he wants to go somewhere else. We have a right to do that, to defend ourselves.
I've had about enough of him living in the state he's in. I've so had enough of him. We just did some recon work in Washington. So crazy. But yeah, we do all have the right to be here. We all have the right to be, and it is what it is. But oh my gosh, let's see. What's the difference between Celestine Fire and Mother's Fire Water? Celestine Fire is that white, to me, it looks like a selenite powder with gold in it. And it is best used for clearing fallen angelic issues, clearing goo, these kinds of things. It goes in and helps adjust any 7D or seventh dimensional violet flame reversals, which we've all been unfortunately hit with, is the reversal rays coming through. And Mother's Divine Fire Water is basically all of the elements, the corrected platonic solids, all of the elements that Mother uses, like the Azoth. And so they have different properties. So it's, what do you feel more comfortable using? And Gwenda, those aren't items you get, those are items you call upon. So, we stand in our own divine union with Mother, and we use the gifts that we have because we are all of the elements. We are all of these. And when they are balanced and we're using our relation to Mother, to Earth, and ourselves, then we're able to use these, I guess Colin would say, in your imagination, because our imagination is real. And so this is, you think it, and so it will be. Yeah.
I haven't heard of selenite, or is it selenite fire?
The Celestine Fire. Yeah, it's really fantastic. Practice calling upon it, because if you get hit with any of the fallen angelic stuff, or you're seeing that your seventh dimensional, we have violet flame reversals. So a lot of people using the violet flame are using it from the fallen ones, and we don't want that. We want to bring that from God's source, and it can clean up all of that mess. And if you have rips and tears in your body, and you don't have time to sit down and repair right away, if you call in the Celestine Fire, it will really hold the auric field and really hold until you have time to get in there and begin to repair. So it's really fantastic to use. Yeah, if you've spent time in the astral fields, it'll clear all that stuff out. So it's fun. You should try it.
I've never heard of it before.
Yeah.
How do you spell it?
Celestine, Celestine.
Okay, like the Celestine prophecy.
Yeah. You can probably find it in, you can probably find details on it in the Ascension Glossary, ascensionglossary.com. Find it in there. And Nikki's saying, on a positive note, Colin, they have med beds coming, they're arriving in mid-November.
They have?
That's what Nikki's saying.
Have magpies?
Med beds.
Oh, med beds.
She said they're coming mid-November. And I think they're in Ireland. Are you guys in Ireland, Nikki? That'd be a long walk for Colin.
Yeah, and med beds have been around for a long time, actually, and they've just never allowed to be produced and sold. But I heard this earlier this year that there were that the FDA had approved a portion of the technology. So maybe they're just going to, introduce a small amount of the power of med beds. But even that is going to be, if they could just even use, because it's got three functions. The one is to diagnose what's wrong with the body. And it doesn't do that like through an X-ray or mRNA scan. It does it through a frequency scan of the body. So it picks up all the energy coming off the body. And it does a couple of scans. And by the time it's done those number of scans, it has a good idea of what is wrong with your body, where the energy miasms are. So that in the next scan, what they do is they then do the restorative work, and begin to restore the frequencies of the soul body, which then restores the frequency of the body. Because every element in our body has a frequency signature. Every element on the frequency table has a frequency signature. So they can pick up exactly what's in our bodies through the frequency of the energy that's coming off our bodies. And so, but what they never knew before, but now they've learned, that you can change matter through wave energy. Now, most people are not aware of that, but we are just waves of energy creating matter out of our energy bodies. So our energy bodies are actually creating our bodies. And if we change the energy of our body, we change our bodies. That's as simple as that. Now, we've seen the lady, the opera singer who sings and shatters a glass, for instance, that is just a waveform of changing form. And also in cymatics, you get a sound coming off a loudspeaker onto a paper or something on top, and then it changes the design of the formation of the powder on the paper. So that is where sound is creating form. People don't understand that. Sound, it creates form. And when we create sounds, these invisible sounds into our body, we can change the form of matter in our body. It's quite simple, really.
It is quite simple, although, takes a, I think a belief structure. I don't know exactly what word I'm looking for. It takes the fact that you would have to trust and believe. And I was going to ask your opinion on med beds, because, everyone's waiting for med beds. And I'm like, well, you're a quantum computer yourself. You have quantum abilities, and to be able to sense the soul, the oversoul, the avatar, and move into all these different dimensions with yourself being who you are. So can a quantum computer system or quantum reading system even reach the levels that humans can, that humanity can, in terms of their bioresonance? Because I would imagine that as a human being, we have far more capability than any type of med bed, but maybe I'm ignorant to that. I don't know.
Yeah, we have inherent and latent intelligence within us. If you look at the intelligence that makes up the human body, it's quite magnificent.
Yeah.
All the way cells are formed, the way the circulation system works, the way our lungs work, breathing air, and then feeds oxygen to our bodies, and all those veins and arteries and that go through the body. It's just quite a miracle. So we are incredibly intelligent beings innately, and people often confuse intelligence with logic. If you're able to think logically, that doesn't necessarily make you intelligent, because I think sometimes the most illogical people are the most intelligent. because they consider something, they're not repeating something that's been told to them. They begin to think out of the box, and they give themselves permission to think illogical thoughts, and and to explore those illogical thoughts. That's like being an explorer going through a jungle. You don't know what's ahead of you, but you're willing to press on to discover what is there. And so we are innately intelligent people, and I would argue that with anybody, even though you might think you meet some people and you think they're really dumb, what they're doing, they're just acting dumb.
Yeah.
People dumb, they just act dumb.
Yes, I agree with you. I see this in session work with, with plenty of people, myself included. I'm not discounting myself on this, but you can have entities removed or things fixed and healed in your body from a practitioner, energy, practitioner, or whatever, quantum therapies, and that's all fine and dandy. But if it's going to go right back into having standards and values, it's going to go right back to controlling your emotions, because the minute you allow that lower level vibration of emotional discord and your values and standards are not in alignment with your thoughts, feelings, emotions, when this is not in alignment, all you're going to do is open your field back up for these things to come right back in and for them to manifest and infest your body again. And this is something, it's like it's going to go right back to the basics every single time. Clear your shadow, clear your pain body, clear your ego, whatever you want to call it, and then control it. Be in control of yourself. It's so simple, but it's not that simple for people. It really isn't. And again,
Yeah.
myself included, I can get all like, go off and I don't understand why everyone does this or that. And I just start to go crazy. You see masks everywhere and all the things, and it just drives me nuts. And so, I'm including myself in this. I have to remember to go, okay, I get that. That's their choice. This is my choice. And, honor myself and control my own emotions over the whole situation.
Yeah. When I was younger, I was a Christian, a staunch Christian, and I used to love, what they called the fruits of the Spirit. It was love, peace, kindness, patience, joy. But there was one that I didn't like at all, and I couldn't understand it, and that was self-control.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And the reason I didn't like it and didn't understand it was I had no idea that one could have self-control, because in a sense, I was living in such a reactive way to everything around me that I had very little under control. Everything else was being controlled by somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And when I began to realize this, when I was awakening, I thought, that's true. I don't have control over anything. I don't have control over my money. I don't have control over how I spend my money. I don't have a control over, my budgets, my working, my shopping, everything. It's just reaction. So, creating this clear plan in your head about what you want and what you want to achieve is the best way to do it. And then follow that plan, because you make the plan, you follow the plan. If the plan doesn't work, there's no one else to blame but yourself.
Yep, it's your fault.
And accept that plan, and then try again.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep trying. It's a question of being persevering and having resilience when in times of trouble and when you're faced with difficult situations. And never give in. I think of many times where a situation seemed impossible. I had no money, I had no food, and I had no means, of earning an income then, and it seemed impossible. But I just looked around and I thought, what is there in my house that I could sell? And then I went and pulled out my old golf clubs, and I thought, well, I don't play golf anymore. Why don't I just sell my golf clubs? And I put that in on a site, one of these sales sites in South Africa. And within half an hour, there was a guy knocking on my door. He wanted my golf clubs. And when he saw my driver, which was quite an old driver, but apparently it was a collector's piece.
Mm.
And he said, you can't sell this driver. I said, no, you can have it, take it. He said, no, this driver alone is worth 7,000 Rand. You can't sell this driver. So I said to him, look, I'm selling it for, we agreed the price. I didn't know the driver was worth that much money, and I want you to have the driver. And he walked away shaking his head. He couldn't believe that I sold him this expensive one club in the bag that was worth so much money.
Oh my goodness.
I just looked around. What can I do about this problem?
Mhm.
Do something about it. Do something about it. Don't just sit and think, well, this is the end of the world. You know, it's because there's always something you can do. I
Yeah.
once went out and washed cars in the local shopping center. And the people, you know, were quite happy that for me. And they asked me, why are you washing cars? I said, well, I don't have enough money. And they would give me extra money,
Mhm.
you know, and people can be very kind and very generous. So, you know, we should never give up. You know, I have a friend who doesn't work and who doesn't try anything and doesn't want to do anything. He just depends on handouts. I think that's a terrible way to live, you know, to just be dependent on other people's handouts. I can't imagine living like that, actually.
Neither can I. We have so many resources now. I see things. I remember when I was having a hard time. I have kids to feed. And, this was years back. And I realized that I have a creative eye for interior design. And so you see dressers and all kinds of cabinetry and all these things on the side of the road people don't want. They're giving them away for free. And so I started finding free things and started painting them, and you can find paints for free because people are discarding them, and you can create new colors with other colors. So I started painting furniture and selling that for a while. And it was a profit because it was other people's garbage, other people's junk, and they ended up being beautiful pieces. Um, and there's just so much we can do. There's so much we can do. And
Yeah,
you just have to have like you said, think outside of the box, be creative, be self-sustaining, and ask the right questions. What can I do?
yeah,
Where can I serve? And you will be provided for.
yeah,
Always. You will always be provided for when you are coming with an open heart and being of service.
yeah. And there's always a way, you know, where there's a will, but
Yeah.
people just want to sit back and expect the answer to come to them. They should realize that they are the answer to their own prayers. So answer your prayers.
Yes. Yes. That's exactly right. Well, my goodness, we've probably got about 5 more minutes. Oh, Emily's saying she used to paint her old makeup and sell it. Oh, you used to paint with your old makeup and sell it. Oh, how cool.
Mm,
All kinds of fun things. There's so many things we can be creative with. Nature around us. I remember in Christmas time, my mom used to collect fallen evergreen branches that fell down and take old Christmas ribbons and old decorations, and she would make wreaths and sell those. And then when she didn't need to do that, she would just give them away. But just amazing things. We're so creative and so connected, and we have so much opportunity and possibility. And
yeah. The strangest way I ever earned money was one Sunday, my niece arrived at my house with a lot of her friends, and one of them was a guitarist who she brought to meet me so that we could play together. So we packed up our guitars and off we went to a coffee shop nearby, and it was an open air coffee shop. So we were sitting outside drinking coffee, and then we started playing guitar. And we carried on for about an hour. We had a lot of fun because everybody was singing, and then my niece looked down into my guitar box and she said, "Hey, look." And there was so much money in the guitar box. So we paid the bill for the breakfast we had with that money. But,
Beautiful.
it just happenstance. It just happened.
Mm.
Literally
Yes, I love it.
money falling from heaven.
It is. It literally is. I love it. Well, I think that we can probably just like wrap up here. This just so beautiful. Cheyenne is saying, "You guys warm my heart." I'm thankful for these Sunday chats and for each of you. Thank you so much. We love everybody that shows up and everybody that watches the replays. And moving forward, unfortunately, we're just going to go through some heavier times just for a little while, and that's going to be okay because we're coming out on the other side. And so, just sharing positive stories, staying focused in what can we do, remembering to stay in your creative mindset, that you're amazing, wonderful creators and builders, you're architects, and we're going to make it happen. And, it's just I know everyone's tired. People are so tired. So it's, we're limiting a lot of extra unnecessary trips, a lot of unnecessary purchases. Just it's time to really go inside. It's time to open our hearts and start building the inside architecture and connecting with the earth again, so that way we can push through this last little bit of darkness that we have to get through to begin healing. Okay, this doesn't mean it's over. This is the last little bit of darkness, so then we can begin healing. And that's how I see it. So
Yeah. Yeah. And remember, there's something called divine right order.
yes.
And sometimes divine right order just isn't the way we want things to go.
Exactly. And it is what it is, right? Divine right
Right.
order and divine right timing.
Yep.
Yep. Yep. And yeah, I've been divinely unhappy with it sometimes, but it is what it is. So
Yeah, I understand that one.
yeah, exactly. Gosh, let's see. We can find you, Colin, on the writings of colinjoe.com, as well as on Patreon. Are you just under Colin Joe on Patreon?
Yeah, Patreon/Colin Joe. That's where they can find me. But my website, believe me, it's got so much information on it. And I just wish that people would spend some time there. So if you have a bit of time, go look at the writings of colinjoe.com and look under my writings. And then maybe just look under the attitudes of mastery, because there you will unmine so many secrets to living in life, and I encourage people to do that. And it's free.
That's amazing. And what I find about most information put out there, heart-centered, God-centered information, is that even if we've read it once or we've read it twice, we are always constantly evolving. We're constantly evolving. And when we go back and read something, we discover a new piece, something we didn't hear or didn't understand a certain way, or something we couldn't see. It's almost as if new words are written. And that's because we are new all the time. Everything we learn, and each time we step into a new dimensional reality, or each time we remove something that's causing a block, we literally become somebody different. And so we're ever evolving, and as is the information. So thank you, Colin, for all the work that you do. I appreciate you.
Well, it's great to be with you again, and I'll see you tomorrow as well. Look forward to that.
right.
Yeah, to all the viewers out there, much love to all of you. Just know that you are much more powerful than you can imagine yourselves to be, and have confidence and trust in that, because it's true.
Yeah, beautiful.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Much love, you guys.
Bye.